And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stumped Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. The Nest Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
And now let's meet our What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the publisher of those wonderful histories for boys and girls, the landmark books, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Thank you, Dorothy. On my left is the only girl in New York that my wife wouldn't trust me alone with. And how right she is. Arlene Francis.
I trust all 6 foot of you anytime. And on my left, our panelist Santa Claus. Why? Because he slays the people, Hal Block.
Wow. Nice letter. And on my left, my favorite news columnist, man is going to do a new panel show for a Christmas tree program called What's My Pine? John Daly.
Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stumped. Once again tonight, our cameras are going to go close up on some people who've been good enough to come and visit, bring with them some interesting and unexpected occupations. At least we hope they're unexpected as far as my friends in the panel are concerned. It will mean that our guests will carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later in the program, but now it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. Will you sign in, please, ma'am?
Anyone we know?
B. Gatling. How are you? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from way down in Dixie, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte?
Charlotte?
Where? Actually, this is like opening a Pandora's box where Block is concerned, who sits over on the edge of
I know the
thing
mayor
there.
there.
He knows the
Very
mayor,
cold.
but...
I have a feeling
I'd
that
like to
won't
know
help
you.
a bit, Hal.
Now, you have to take a small walk down in front of the panel for us, if you will, because they'd like to get a closer look at you. Would you do that now?
Come back as soon as possible.
All right, Miss Gatling, will you come over here now and sit down next to me? And on the basis of that fine, firm, and certain handwriting of yours, and the quick look that the panel has had at you, at this point, we always give them one free guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's the queen of cotton or queen of tobacco or queen of something.
Mr. Cerf.
Well, I should think Miss Gatling would make guns.
Miss Francis.
I should think Miss Gatling would make Dixie cups.
Lord, child. Mr. Block.
I think she's an Esquire calendar girl, and I'd like to be one of her dates.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let the viewers at home have a further look at Miss Gatling, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel's going to have to work. Now, Miss Gatling, what happens from this point on is every time you give the panel a no answer, it costs them $5. We'll keep the record of all that right up here. 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. It's our custom to always give the panel one last rope to dive onto in their deep water. Miss Gatling is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Miss Gatling, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, I do.
Is there any product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Is it a product that could be purchased at a store?
Yes.
Is it something that might be purchased by both men and women?
Under certain circumstances. Maybe we'll have a small conference.
There'll be no long conferences with this pilot, John.
I love this. I can keep this up all night. Actually, we've got a question here of some moment, and if you'll just give us another 10 or 12 minutes, we'll get it all straightened out. Go on, get away. Okay. Actually, we will give you a qualified yes on that.
Then may I assume that it would be more likely for one sex to buy this rather than the other?
Yes.
Is this something that's useful?
Yes.
Is it also pleasurable in some way?
Is it pleasurable in some way? Well, I wouldn't think so, would you?
Not exactly.
No, I may have to give you a no on that, Miss Dorothy. 1 down, 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, Miss Gatling, Miss Kilgallen ducked the logical next question as to which sex uses this product most. It is used more by one sex than another, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I'll have to take a 50-50 chance and guess, is it used more by men than women?
Yes.
Well,
Shall we have a conference?
this product manufactured.
Yes.
It is a manufactured product. And you work for the company that manufactures it?
Yes, I do.
Could this product, by any chance, be destructive in any way?
It can be, yes.
Would it be used in waging warfare? I don't mean between the sexes. I mean real warfare.
Yes.
It could be, yeah.
It could be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it used in gunfire of any way? Is it used in the firing of cannon?
In the firing of cannon.
Well, something
That would
to do
make it
with-
2 down and 8 to go. Miss Francis.
Well, might it be used in the firing of something smaller than cannon?
Something smaller than cannon. No. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Block.
Could it be more explosive than you are?
Yes, I'll answer that one. This is really an accolade. It's a medal. All right, go
Would it
on,
have
Mr.
anything
Block.
to do with any type of weapon?
Does it have anything to do with any type of weapon?
Or powder or something like that?
You mean by weapon a gun? You're following the same line of thought that has been carried forward to this point. A gun or an artillery piece or something
Or
like that?
something like that? No.
No. All right, well, then you go on. Take it from there.
Knowing you. Is it something that perhaps is small enough to be held in your hand?
Yes.
Is it something that might be made of steel or some metal?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is this thing in itself an explosive?
Yes, it is.
Is it used for constructive purposes as well as destructive purposes?
Yes.
Is it dynamite?
That's
Yes.
right. That's very good. And now that you've discovered that Miss Gatling has something to do with dynamite, all you have to do is to find out what she has to do with dynamite. So let's go from there.
She is dynamite.
All right, Miss Kilgallen.
Does she make dynamite?
She makes dynamite. It's 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Sip.
Well, I can't imagine that you test dynamite. You work for DuPont, I take it, down there.
Yes,
You test
I-
dynamite down there?
That's right. She tests dynamite. Actually, I think, Miss Gatling, it would help if you told us what you test. You test the moisture content, don't
Yes, we analyze it chemically.
you? Imagine spending your life analyzing dynamite chemically.
I'm just looking at it.
I think it's only fair to say that I had a clue before we went on. There were a bunch of photographers buzzing around here, and I asked what they were all doing here, and one of them said he had been sent by the DuPont company, and I took a chance that you were the girl.
Well, she could have made
so
my
that's
life.
good. This is too bad. Just for that, we'll flip the rest of the cards, and
think
you
you-
win the full prize by default. We'll take care of that in a big hurry. So you win the full prize of $50, and our thanks for being our guest. Nice to have you with us. Good night. Good to see you. All right, panel, let's see what you can do with this panelist, or rather challenger, rather. I think it's going to give you a lot of trouble. Would you please sign in now, ma'am? And Bro, is that? How are you? All right, Panel, it is Mrs. Bro, and where are you from, Mrs. Bro?
Mrs. Bro? Bye.
Mrs. Bro, and you're from the Bronx.
That's right.
Now, would you take the walk down in front of the panel for me, please?
May I lift your hands, Mrs. Bro? Thank you.
You didn't bring photographers with you, did you, Mrs.
No.
Dunn?
All
May
right.
I look at your ring?
Just
You are married, aren't you?
Just be sure it's on your finger when you get your hand back, and now come on over here. Well, and Mrs. Bro, on the basis of that short walk and the fact that the panel has had a chance to know you a little bit, we give them one free guess at this point, which we always begin with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's a spaghetti tester.
A spaghetti tester, Mr. Sir.
I think she owns a millinery shop on 149th Street.
Miss Francis.
I think she makes Christmas stockings.
Mr. Block.
I think she's one of the few people who didn't see Mommy kissing Santa Claus.
Maybe true, but nobody has the right answer. Once again, we'll let our viewers at home get a further look at Mrs. Bro, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel has to dig. Mrs. Bro, I think you know the rules. Every no answer, we rack up $5 for you. 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. You all set now?
Right.
All right. Mrs. Bro is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Block.
Miss Bro, do you deal in a product?
Yes,
Might this ever be found in the home?
sometimes.
Sometimes?
Like,
Would this ever come in contact with the person's body?
yes,
Something that might ever change a person's appearance?
very much.
Don't tell him a thing. Go on, Mr. Block.
Want another conference? Is this something that's a solid rather than a liquid or a cream?
Yes,
Might this ever be applied to a person's face? Might?
Yes.
Are there some women who might not use this?
yes,
If a woman did use it, would she probably take it off before she went to bed? Would it be considered bad manners if a woman put this on, say, at a restaurant? Well, if a fella kissed his girl goodnight, would he find it smeared all over his face?
One down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I think I'm a little confused by this line of questioning. You say that this can be applied to the face.
yes,
Is there anything else you can do with it?
yes,
Is it more usual to do something else? Oh, I'll start that over again. Is this usually used as something besides a solid to put on ladies' faces?
yes,
Is this ever used by men?
yes,
Would you say that it was more likely that it would be used by men than by women?
yes,
Do men put it on their faces?
Do men put it on their faces? That would make it
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, Mrs. Bro, is this something that is applied to people by somebody else?
yes,
Would it be applied ever by a barber?
no,
No, I don't know any barbers that would, do you? That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility that a barber might, but it would not be normal.
You
They
don't
would
know
give
my barber.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Did I understand you say this was a solid?
that,
It is a solid.
yes,
And is it something that you could hold in your hand?
yes,
And can you buy it at a department store?
yes,
And is it a useful product?
There are certain occasions when it has definite use, yes.
Does it have any adhesive quality of any kind?
A 4 down and 6
No.
to go, Mr. Block.
You say it could be applied to a man. Could it ever be applied to me, do you think?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Would it make me any happier?
no,
No, I don't think it would make you happier. That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is this thing meant to be near the person?
Well, actually, in almost every one of its useful aspects, it should be near a person, yes.
Is there anything unpleasant about this product? I mean, if it's near you, would you rather not have it near you sometimes?
There are some occasions when it's near you, when you just as soon it wasn't near you, wouldn't you think?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, could it pain you or make you uncomfortable in any way? Yes. Why do you have anything to do with such a thing? Well, is it, however, or wait a minute, is this a very hard object?
Very hard object?
Yes.
No. 6 down and 4 to go, and I'm going to give you 1 more minute on this panel, Mr. Sir.
Does this product in any way disguise a person that wears it? Like a mask or something of that sort?
No. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it something that you wear for corrective purposes?
Yes, actually. I would say that in the broad interpretation, this is something you would wear for corrective purposes, yes.
Oh, well, it probably isn't what I was thinking of. Something like a
I have
thing
a
that would
weenie.
hold back your ears.
This is
Maybe we have a conference.
Maybe we have a
Well,
conference.
just a minute. Now, actually, I'm going to ask Miss Arlene, because we are running late, to ask one more question and then knock it off, because I think I may have given a tip in that last answer. No, Miss Arlene, ask one more question.
Is it soft?
Well, middling, but not really.
Is it hairy?
I think we'll have to give you 8 down and 2 to go, and we'll have to give Mrs. Bro the full prize by default. She makes boxing gloves. She makes... And Mrs. Bro... Well, we stumped them. Congratulations to you. You win the full prize by default, and thanks very much for being our guest. It's nice to have had you with us on What's My Life. And now, in just 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce our mystery guest. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel would certainly recognize our guest on sight, so we, of course, have had to provide them with blindfolds. Are those blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Sit down, please. All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Well, I take it from the cheering that you're in the entertainment profession. Is that correct? Just to make sure.
Just a minute, Bennett. We can't hear you. All right, you go ahead, Bennett.
We went wrong with Ethel Waters. Are you male? Am I correct in assuming that the voice I'm hearing is far from your normal voice?
I certainly hope so.
If you were using your normal voice, would it be a voice that I had heard occasionally in motion pictures? Talking motion pictures. Have you also done television work? You're going to get hoarse if you keep this down.
You sound like Lady from Richmond.
Would you say that your reputation was predominantly that of a motion picture actor? When you play in pictures, do you play a starring role? You do. May I ask... Don't repeat your answer. May I assume that you're under 50? That is very vigorous. May I ask if you're under 40?
No. What? 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Kind of.
Well, if you're not a seal, would you be... Would you be considered a leading man?
At times.
Would you be considered then also a character actor?
In a way, yes.
Are you an American?
Yes.
An American seal.
Would you be considered a comedian?
Sometimes.
He's earning all of his spurs in this area tonight.
Are you presently engaged by any particular studio?
No.
That's 2 down and
That
8
was
to
a
go.
dainty one.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Block.
You are under 50?
Yes.
How long you been underwater? Do you ever get the girl in your picture?
Sometimes.
But not like that. Do you also do other things besides being the hero in the picture? Ooh. Have you ever been in, say, radio? Have you ever done any radio at all?
Oh, yes.
Have you done television before this?
Yes, yes.
Do you ever work with anybody else? Sort of a woman or a fellow as a partner?
Oh, I always work with somebody.
Maybe a halibut or something. Do you?
Yes, well, our guest has said that he doesn't, in the terms as we understand them, do a solo piece. He usually works with somebody else on television.
Well, did you ever have a program on television?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you ever play unpleasant characters in movies?
Oh, I certainly do.
Did you ever, in a certain motion picture, have sort of a trademark, a mannerism, such as an evil laugh?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf, and we have only about 3 minutes to go.
Richard Widmark, by
Yes.
any chance?
Mhm.
I was, too. I want to pursue a question that Hal Block asked. When you are known, is it as part of a team, by any chance?
No.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, and we have about 2.5 minutes to go, Miss Francis.
You're just a single actor. Are you single?
Yes.
Oh. Then are you a juvenile? Hardly anybody. Well, maybe he's a perennial juvenile.
In years are delinquent.
I don't think we can call him a juvenile. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Block.
Have you ever scared anybody in what you did?
Oh, I suppose so, sometimes, you know.
Have you been with one company more than another?
Yes.
Can we have a small conference?
No, I'm afraid we can't, Mr. Block. We have
All
less
right.
than
Has
2
it ever
minutes
been
to go.
20th Century Fox?
Yes.
Oh, terrific. Are you in Stars and Stripes Forever?
No.
That makes it
This is
7
not
down and
Clifton
3 to
Webb.
go, Miss Kilgallen.
Have you ever been on the Broadway stage?
Yes.
Did you ever appear in a musical?
Yes.
Do you do something besides act, then? Do you sing or dance?
Yes.
Do you dance?
Yes.
Oh, for goodness sake. Are you Ray Bolger?
8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Cerf.
He's not singing.
No,
A minute
of
and a
course
half
not.
to go, Bennett.
Have you
I'm
been in a
getting
Broadway play within the last 3 years?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Miss
Thank you.
Francis.
Find out
Would
if
you
he's
be-
working.
Would you be considered a dashing fellow with the ladies?
Yes, I'll answer that one for him.
Are you a brunette?
Yes.
Do you play guitar or any musical instrument such as that?
No.
That's 10 down and no more to go. Unmasked can take a look at Cesar Romero. Thank you very much, Cesar Romero. Now, I would like, if I may,
Who
to
was it?
steal a private word. I want to thank all of you who were good enough to make checks out to the Correspondence Fund and send them to Ed Morrow at CBS for our memorial building. We're very grateful to those of you who are giving your support because this is something that's very dear to all of us who are in the journalistic profession. So thanks again. We hope you had a good deal of fun tonight because we had an awful lot of fun with you and with the panel and with Cesar Romero. And now in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next week's show. Next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this young lady. Would you know what her occupation is? Could you spot her line? Well, for the answers to these questions and a good many other ones, be sure to tune in again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again Stumped invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listing for the date and time of our weekly series, and don't forget What's My Line on CBS Radio on Wednesday night. Until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bennett.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Hal.
Good night.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. In association with the CBS Television Network.
Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist, creator of that popular trio, Stumped Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Its delightful spray mate, Poof, Deodorant Body Powder. And Finesse, the new flowing cream shampoo. And now Dr. Jules Montagnier, originator of these three fine products, invites you to enjoy What's My Line?
And now, let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
On my left, a young man whose new nightly television program is taking the East by storm, Mr. Steve Allen.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. And on my left, a lovely lady of radio and television who has her own TV show, Talent Patrol, seen Monday nights on another network, Arlene Francis.
And on my left, the distinguished publisher, wasn't sure just how distinguished he was there for a minute, distinguished publisher of Random House and Modern Library books, Mr. Bennett, sir.
And on my left is a gentleman who has just been elected vice president of American Broadcasting Company, but who, despite any rumors you may have heard to the contrary, is going to stay right here with us on What's My Line, I hope from here to eternity, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. And by the way, now you have met our most excellent panel, I think you'll all be interested in knowing that a very fine writer, Maurice Zolito, has written a piece not only about our panel, but about this phenomenon of television called the panel program, and it's in this week's Saturday Evening Post. It's a very fine piece of writing. I enjoyed it. I think you will. And once again tonight, we're going to bring our cameras up close to some people who have come up close to us and brought with them some very interesting occupations, which we trust the panel will have some trouble with, so they'll carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger a bit later, but now it is time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. So will you sign in, please, ma'am? Candy Sherry Dunn. Is that right? Actually, I might say to begin with that I can quite understand the Candy. You look sweet enough to be Candy, you know. Where are you from?
I'm from Nashville, and I married a Yankee, so I live in Nantucket.
From Nashville, Tennessee, and you married a Yankee and you live in Nantucket. Well, it's nice of you to... Is that what happens when you marry a Yankee?
The most awful things happen to you when you marry a Yankee.
Actually, we're not half as bad as we're painted sometimes. But now I've got some Yankees that I want you to meet. Would you be good enough to walk down in front of the panel?
We had Yogi Berra here once.
Hi.
All right, now, Mrs. Sheridan, will you come over here, please, and sit down next to me? And I think you may know that at this point in the program, we always give the panel one free guess as to what your line may be, and we always begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Oh, I think she's a lobster fisher lady.
A lobster fisher lady, Mr. Allen.
I just want to sit here and laugh at that, that's all. I think candy is a carbohydrate.
Miss Francis.
I think candy is a riveter at an airplane factory.
Mr. Sir.
I think Candy works on the Nantucket light ship.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Sheridan, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. All right, Mrs. Sheridan, I think probably the rules are known to you. Every time you get a no answer out of them, it costs the panel $5. We keep a record of all that right up here. And 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. All right, Mrs. Sheridan is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Mrs. Sheridan, do you work on the island of Nantucket?
Yes.
Well, does your work have anything to do with tourists or vacationers?
Sometimes.
What else is there in Nantucket? Are you in the town of Nantucket itself?
Yes.
Do you work in a shop in Nantucket?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is there any service involved in your work?
Yes.
Would you perform this service for grown-ups?
Yes.
Men and women both?
Yes.
She seems almost as surprised as I am. Are they happier? Do they have a better time because of what you do?
Sometimes.
You don't quite understand how perfect that answer is. You go on, Miss Dorothy.
I'm sure you hope they'll have a better time because
I shall do.
Do they usually avail themselves of your service in pairs?
No.
No, I wouldn't say that it's unnecessary. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Peaches.
Does the service that you perform for these folks have anything to do with amusement or recreation or sports?
Sometimes.
More ordinarily, then, it would be something of a more serious nature. Is that right?
No, I don't guess so.
Yeah. Actually, I think we're getting into a rather delicate area. Certainly the work that Mrs. Sheridan does has its serious connotations. At the same time, it may, in its effect upon third parties, supply them or at least further the prospects of good humor, good fun, and good living.
That's fine, but do I get a yes or no?
You get a qualified guess, Stephen. You go on.
Okay. Are they in any way, these people for whom you perform your services, in any way physically changed, for the better or worse, after you get at them?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work indoors, Mrs. Sheridan?
Sometimes.
You just can do it both ways no matter what happens. Is it mostly, do you have mostly transient people that you work for or do your service for?
No.
No, I wouldn't think they were mostly transient. Bearing in mind Nantucket's basic nature, we'd give you a no to that. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, Candy, you said you don't work in a shop in Nantucket. Well, now, Nantucket is completely surrounded, of course, by water. Does your work have anything to do with the wide open sea that surrounds the island of Nantucket?
No.
Nothing.
Well, we'd have to have a small conference. I've been looking for an excuse anyway. For a long We have had an executive committee meeting, and we feel that perhaps we should give you a qualified yes, that the work might have some effect upon the wide open sea and the use thereof.
It might have an effect on the sea?
The use thereof. Actually, the use thereof. I mean, it's the relationship of the sea to the person or persons who might put it to use.
Is there a liquid of any kind mixed up in what you do?
Is there a liquid of any kind mixed
You wouldn't
up
be a
in what you
barmaid
do?
at the White Elephant Hotel or
No,
something.
but I sure would like to.
That's $5 and 5 to go, Miss Kilgore.
Mrs. Sheridan, is the work that you do ever done by a man?
Yes.
Does it require any strength or dexterity?
You mean manual dexterity of a certain and specific nature in the handling of a specific piece of
Oh, I don't want to be
machinery?
too specific, John.
You don't want to be too specific?
No, I just... does it require some physical knack? Is it anything that's done better by a strong girl than a weak
Thank you
one?
very much. That'll make it 6 down and 4 to go. Mr. Allen.
When you do what you do, would you be apt to not wear a dress of the type you're wearing right now?
Well, I don't think I really would have to dress different, no.
That would make it 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis. I'm going to give you 1 more minute for this.
Mrs. Sheridan, is there any product whatsoever involved in what you do? It's just a service.
Yes.
Oh, please.
I don't get that yet.
You got a no for that. 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Sir.
There is no product involved. That was a no.
That's it. The no is on the product.
You don't have anything to do with any phase of photography or camera work, do you?
That makes it 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you by any chance work for a non-profit making organization?
Yes.
Do you perform some government service?
Yes.
Is it attached to the local Nantucket government?
No.
That would make it 10 down and no more to go, and you were just getting on the trail. Because Mrs. Sheridan is the U.S. weatherman on Nantucket.
Oh, really?
Isn't that wonderful? And I think Mrs. Sheridan deserves a special medal because she said as she sat down, oh boy, am I scared. You didn't show you're scared, and you won the full prize, and we're very pleased that you came to see us and hope you enjoyed the visit. It's nice to have you with us. Good night. All right, panel, let's see what we can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, sir? Al French. Is that right, sir? Would you first of all tell us where you're from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Well, it's nice to have you with us. You have lots of moral support. We must have a good section of Ohio with us tonight, so you can go face those Manhattan people, if you will.
Shake hands, Mr. French, will you? You're a strong one.
I hear there must
Yeah.
All right, Mr. French, will you come over here now, please, and sit down next to me? At this point, on the basis of this brief acquaintance that you have made with our friends in the panel, they get 1 free guess as to what your line may be, and the free guesses always begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think he's a baseball umpire.
A baseball umpire, Mr. Allen.
I think Mr. French fries potatoes.
Miss Francis.
I think Mr. French does a manual job, but I really don't know what it is, so I just have to be honest. I'm bewildered.
Mr. Sir.
I think Mr. French is a Shriner and an earner.
Now I'm afraid nobody has got it right. My. So we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. French, and at the same time, we will tell them what his line is. But the panel first. Mr. French, you know the rules. Yes, sir. Everything's up here. No answers. We flip a card. 10 no's, you have won. All right, Mr. French is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Steve Allen.
Mr. French, is there a product connected with what you do?
Yes, there is.
Is it the sort of thing that I might ever come into contact with? I gather from the reaction that this is something that ordinarily neither Bennett nor I would normally use.
Well, I would think probably we could say that they would not normally use it, wouldn't
Not
you?
normally.
No.
Would a woman use this then?
Yes.
If Arlene, if you don't mind my
Here I go again.
bandying your name about, if Arlene were to use this right now, would she look in any way different than she...
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'd have to say she would look different, you know.
Maybe it's a good idea, Steve.
May I guess, then, that this is something Arlene would prefer to use not in public?
I would think if she were in such condition that its use was necessary, she would prefer not to use it in public, yes.
Is this something, let's see, is this something that a woman might perhaps get into around bedtime?
Now, I think we've got to be fair.
He said yes, John.
No, I must say this, that under certain very specific circumstances, it's something that a woman might get into about bedtime, but that would not be normal and procedure, so we'll give you a no on that. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, is it something you do get into?
It may be said that you get into it, yes.
Is it something that anybody else might help you into? Is it something that one would rather not have on? I mean, it's not the sort of thing that I would go out of my way to get.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Is it in any way restraining?
Yes.
Does it keep me from doing anything? No, I don't know why I'm in this act. Does it keep, would it keep a person from doing something that they should not do?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it in any way in the straitjacket family?
No. 2 down and 8 to go,
I
Mr.
thought I
Sir.
was so warm.
Well, if it isn't in the straitjacket family, Mr. French, is there any metal in the construction of this object?
Yes.
Would it possibly be used to keep something chained up in the shape of handcuffs or foot cuffs?
No.
No. Not foot cuffs.
Foot cuffs.
Foot
Very
cuffs.
handsome objects.
We manufacture words. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Now, may I just straighten out the fact that this is just as easily used by a gentleman if he were in a peculiar position as a lady, or has that been
actually,
determined?
it is put to use by both sexes. It has also been determined that it is not something one necessarily would like to put to use.
It does have a restraining effect.
Yes, that has been...
Is it anything that you slip your arms or hands into?
No, not specifically as arms or hands. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Allen. 1 more minute.
Would you get your whole being into this thing?
Yes.
Like a telephone booth or a paddy wagon or something of that sort, I'm thinking.
Well, yes,
in that
you get
general
your
area.
whole carcass gets in this.
But it's not foot cuffs, is it?
That's a first cousin to a hiccup.
Could more than one person get into it?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the law or punishment and crime and
Yes.
Dostoevsky and all that sort of thing? You drive a crime and punishment wagon.
No.
No, it doesn't. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss
Is
Francis.
it anything like a cage or a cell?
Yes.
Oh, which one you mean? It's a cell.
That's right.
You have something to do with making or selling cells?
Yeah, what kind of
Buys
cell?
and sells.
For prison.
Prison cells. That's right. You bet. Mr. French builds very good prison cells. As a matter of fact, I think you're with the Van
can't
Dorn
wait to have
Ironworks,
one.
is it? Van Dorn Ironworks in Cleveland. They make the nicest prison cells if you ever like to build one into the house. Grand stuff. Well, Mr. French, you've done fairly well with the prizes. More than that, we hope you enjoyed your visit because it
Thank
was
you
nice
very
to
much.
have you with us, sir. Good night. Good to see you. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce... And now we come to the special feature of the program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel would most certainly recognize our guest on sight, so we have, as usual, supplied them with blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Join me over here. And panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with all the usual preliminaries. We get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in the entertainment world?
Yes.
Are you a performer?
Are you a performer?
Yes.
Field.
Could you be described as an actor?
Could you be described as an actor?
Probably.
Are you in the movies?
Yes.
May I take it that when you're in the movies, you don't usually sound like this?
Miss Gilgallen would like to know whether she may take it that when you're in the movies, you don't usually sound like this.
No.
That's right, Miss Gilgallen, you may.
Are you under 80?
Yes.
Are you what might be described as a glamour boy?
That's a no. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
Are you larger than a bread box?
Yes, our guest is larger than a bread box.
Just wanted to make sure it wasn't Mickey Mouse or somebody like that. Have you been in pictures and been in the public eye for longer than, say, 15 years? And now it's 16.
You get a yes to that, Steve.
You are a man. That has been determined, has it not?
It has not. Would you like to ask the question?
No, I'll just take it for granted. I mean, it's his problem, not mine. It'd be funny if I was wrong now. Might we have seen one of your motion pictures at a first-run theater in New York City within the last 12 months?
Yes.
Was it a black and white picture rather than color?
Yes.
Are you a character actor?
Just a minute, Steve. We got to have a conference.
Oh.
Go ahead, Steve. Things are getting more interesting every minute.
They're not over here, isn't that funny? You often do the leads in pictures, do you?
Do you often do the leads in pictures? We would like a more specific designation of lead, Mr. Allen, so that we don't mislead you.
Does it say starring lead-to-do-do, wherever you are? Now and
Does
then.
it say starring D-to-do-to-do? Yes, it says starring D-to-do-to-do.
That's who it is.
Why, were you by any chance born elsewhere than in the United States?
No.
All right, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Now, it has been established by Steve that you are a character actor. Are you a comedian, character actor?
Yes.
Do you play older parts, you know, father of the bride and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Have you ever appeared in the New York theater?
Yes.
Did you hate it? Do you have a distinguishing characteristic?
You mean like...
You know, like a big
big
mouth
ears,
or big ears or no hair or 2 noses?
Well, actually, there is, I think, I will, with our guest permission, say there is a distinguishing characteristic, yes.
Well, is the distinguishing characteristic around the head, face and head?
Yes.
Is it anything to do with a hirsute appendage?
I beg your pardon. It has nothing to do with a hirsute appendage, no. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Bennett, sir, and we have about 3 minutes to go.
Incidentally, that's a hearing aid for you people who don't know what we're talking about.
Might I ask you if you have ever had the, I consider, inestimable privilege of appearing in a picture with Marilyn Monroe?
Yes.
Would you have played the part of a gentleman who provided her with with a diamond tiara in a very recent picture?
Yes.
I guess it's a very distinguished gentleman named Charles Coburn.
Yes, it is Charles Coburn, and he's distinguished in more ways than we, I should think, have the opportunity to talk about. The man who gets around so much. After all, he is distinguished in his chosen field, the arts. But not only that, I think he's made a picture with Marilyn Monroe and also Jane Russell called Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. A four-dimensional picture, says Mr. Coburn. And they do say, sir, that a man is as young as he feels. May I congratulate you on your 16th birthday. It's wonderful to have you with us. Yes, please do. Well, my congratulations to the panel, and certainly congratulations go to Mr. Coburn, who shows himself to be as charming a gentleman as we all have known him on the screen. And next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this woman. Would you know what she does from day to day to make a living? Could you possibly spot her line? Well, for the answers to these questions, we trust the answers will produce both humor, fun, and information. Be sure and be with us again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, when once again we invite you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. Until we see you again, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
Hi, Dorothy. John, I just wanted you to know I knew Mrs. Sheridan was a meteorologist. You can look in her eyes and tell weather, you know, right away. Good night, Arlene.
Thanks, love. And don't let your shoe cuff know what your handcuff is doing. Good night, Bennett.
Good night, Prexy Daly.
Good night, Bean. Nice to have seen you. And good night, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.
And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stumped Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. Finesse Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
Now, let's meet our What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, back from her Paris vacation, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the most charming boulevardier this side of the Champs-Élysées, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Wow. Nice to have you back, Dorothy. On my left is the queen bee of Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens. She'll tell you about the other boroughs herself. Miss Arlene Francis.
I know the boroughs to which you referred, too. And on my left, substituting for Hal Block, is a very distinguished panelist, the co-author of Guys and Dolls, and a very nice guy himself, as any doll would know, Mr. Abe Burrows.
And here's a fellow whose picture's on a back cover, I think it's the back, yeah, that's you on the back cover of Quick Magazine this week. Mr. John Daly.
Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line? And it's always, as usual, presented by Stumped, and we have a rather special welcome tonight for station WEWS-TV in Cleveland, Ohio. We're happy to welcome them to our What's My Line Sunday night family. Once again, we're going to have some folks who've come to visit us from many parts of the United States with unexpected, we hope, the kind of varied occupations that will give my friends in the panel some trouble so that our contestants can carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later in the program, But now it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. So will you sign in, please, sir? Henry Byers. Henry Byers. Is that right, sir? Well, suppose you tell us, first of all, where you live.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Des Moines, Iowa. Well, it's nice of you to have come all the way from Iowa to see us, and I hate to make you take another trip, but would you be good enough to walk down in front of the panel for me?
May I see your hands, please?
My wife told me you'd want to see those.
Well, she was right.
I'm glad to see her back on the phone.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Byers, you come on over here now, if you will, and sit down next to me, and on the basis of that fine, firm handwriting of yours, the trip you've made from Iowa, and the quick look that our friends on the panel have had at you, we give them at this point one free guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the free guesses with a returnee from Paris, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Well, I think Mr. Byers is an expert on soil conservation.
Oh, that French accent's giving you trouble. Expert on soil conservation. Mr. Sir.
I think this Boulevardier from Des Moines is the city editor of the Des Moines Register.
City editor, Miss Francis.
I think he has something to do with printing money.
You do?
Very successful.
Mr. Burrows.
I think he makes crying towels for Giant fans.
No, I'm afraid nobody has the right answer. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Byers. At the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. But, Mr. Byers, the panel has got to dig. Every time that you can give the members of the panel a no answer, it costs them $5. We'll keep the record up here, 10 no's or $50, and you've won the game. One more bit of help for the panel. Mr. Byers is self-employed. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Mr. Sir.
Mr. Byers, is there a product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Is it a product that I would like?
Yes.
Would my wife, Phyllis, sitting in the front row, have any use for that product?
Yes.
You think she'd like it if I gave it to her as a present?
Very much.
That gets me nowhere. She likes anything for a present. Would she like it even better if I gave her a pair of these things?
Certainly.
Is the product you are involved with, Mr. Byers, reasonably expensive? Let's say more than $10, worth more than $10?
Yes.
Yes.
Worth more than $11?
Yes.
Well, is it very valuable?
Yes.
Worth more than, say, $1,000?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
See, something my wife would like a pair of and is worth more than $1,000.
You know, Christmas is coming up, Bennett. You're getting yourself in a lot of trouble,
I know. Is this something, if I did get a pair of them for Mr. Byers, might she hang one in each ear?
No, that would be what? Out of 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, if there were a pair of them, could the pair possibly be male and female?
No.
I was thinking of chinchilla, John.
Yes, I was. Oh, I know what you were thinking of. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Burrows.
These products, I gather, are inanimate.
Inanimate, yes.
Are they manufactured?
No.
3 down and 7 to go. Very sorry, Mr. Burrows.
Oh, I'm sorry, too.
Miss Kilgallen.
Well, if they're not manufactured, do they grow?
Do they grow?
Yes.
You mean like... Well, no. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
They neither grow nor... Well, do they come, by any chance, out of the ground?
No.
Do they come out of the ground?
Well, would they be mined, I mean?
Mined?
Yeah.
Did you say mined?
I know,
5
no.
down and 5 to go. All right, that's Miss Francis.
They don't come out of, they're not mined, they're not grown, they're not live, they're not... Goodness. Well, is it something that is extracted in any way out of the elements?
Well, to the degree that almost everything is in one
Just wanted
way
to get
or
a yes
another.
answer, didn't care what I said.
You got it.
Is this product, whatever it is it used at all? Would our War Department, for example, be interested in this product?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I would say this. May I have a small conference with Mr. Byers?
Uh-huh.
You accept them? We have agreed in a committee session that it is probably an incidental activity of the War Department to come in some way in contact with this product. Yes.
Well, and our government can afford it, too, at $1,000 apiece. Is it something that would ever be found in a person's home?
No, not this one. No, I don't think. 6 down. I'd like to find a few in my home, but I don't. All right, 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Burrow.
I've come to the conclusion that this is very difficult.
It is.
Now, is this product, when you say it's worth 1,000, is it worth of the money you intrinsically or because of what it represents?
I beg your pardon, Mr. Burrows. Is it worth the money intrinsically or...
Is it worth... You know, for instance, I'll show you a check of mine for $1,000, which is worth $200. But
oh, I understand what you mean.
Is the product valuable because of its own value or because it represents something?
Well, I would say that everything, since, after all, if we go back to the days of we used to exchange produce, this has a representative value.
I don't go back with you, kid.
I would say this, it would have no value as a product if it wasn't worth $1,000 in substantial and basic terms. Did that confuse you at all?
Yes.
Good, fine, go on from there.
Then your answer is that it has value in itself, yes.
It has equity. It has an equity position which is transferable into, shall we say, negotiable assets.
Is this value that it has because of the fact that something or someone is backing it up, or because as against its peculiar value as a thing?
This may be your last appearance on What's My Line.
The first time I've ever got a yes and no.
Let me put it this way. The thing is valuable by and of itself as a term of reference to its basic existence. I can be just as confusing as you can.
All right, I'll be generous and accept that as an equivocal answer. Now, is it something that is valuable because there is written or printed material on it?
On it? That would be 7 down and 3 to go.
Not on it.
You said on it. This kid guy.
Under it.
Is this a tangible thing? This thing that's worth more than $1,000?
It has tangible qualities, and it has values which could be called intangible.
Well, you're slipping around like a Roseland dancer.
I have to on this one, Abe. I have nowhere to go.
Is there anything creative about what Mr. Byers does?
You mean creative in the artistic sense?
I mean creative in any sense.
That's a girl.
Just a moment. I have a conference. No. We've had 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Byers, I'm going to ask you a question, unlike Abe Burrows, that you can answer with a yes or no. Has your product got anything to do, whatever, with the budgetary or monetary system?
Yes.
Are you, would you qualify, you look too kind for this, as some kind of a banker?
No. No, well, actually, we'd have to say no to the banker. That's right. Miss Francis.
You'd have to say no to the banker.
Yeah. 9 down and 1 to go.
It's nice to say no to a
Could
banker.
we have a fast conference?
15 seconds for a
What
conference.
don't you say no to a banker?
Well, I wouldn't say no to anybody who had anything to do with a mint or making
But I
money.
guessed that in the wild guess.
Oh, you
no
did?
Place.
No,
Yeah.
no
Said he
place?
printed
No.
money, possibly.
No.
Oh, well,
No.
what,
No, he doesn't.
Maybe he's...
investment?
Is he self-employed? I forgot.
Yes, he's self-employed.
Yes, he's self-employed.
Would you
couldn't be the
have? Do you have a concern?
Well, to the extent he's self-employed, he has a corporate entity
Does
being...
the product involved or the end product involved, would it in any way be considered an investment? Is it something you might put in a safe?
In a safe. I don't think you could put it. Actually, that's a tough one, but I'm going to give you a no answer on it. Actually, Mr. Byers is the toughest I think we've ever had. He buys and sells banks. He moves in, buys control of a bank merely for the purpose of selling it to somebody else.
You might say he was a banker, John, if he buys and
Well,
sells
actually,
banks.
I think, but you see, actually, he isn't.
He's a
And I
negotiator.
think the general terminology we know, although officially it could never be described, so he's a broker. But it would not be allowed under banking laws to call him a broker. Actually, he buys banks and he sells banks.
He's a bank
But
broker.
he's not a banker, he's a bank broker, to use the term loosely. Ooh, brother. Well, you have won the full prize. We certainly had a lot of fun. We're glad you came to see us. What's my life? Well, panel, let's see what you can do with another challenger. Will you come in and sign in, challenger, please? Jane Schmall, is that right? Good to see you. I'm going to put my hand in my pocket. Will you tell us where you live?
Yes, Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago?
Right.
Oh, good. Nice to have you in. Our friends in the panel have just had a real rough time, so go easy on them, but take a little walk down there, would you, please?
What a pity Hal Block isn't here tonight.
Yeah.
What's the matter with me?
All right, Miss Small, will you come over here and sit down, please? And on the basis of your handwriting, as you probably know, and the quick look that our friends have had at you, the fact that you come from Chicago, at this point we give them a free guess as to what your line may be. We begin the free guesses as usual with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's the head of a beauty salon.
A beauty salon, Mr. Sir.
And she works in the pump room.
Miss Francis.
I think she has something to do with information, but I don't know what it is.
Mr. Burrows.
Well, if it's Chicago, I think she goes with Hal Block.
No, I'm afraid nobody's right about that. All right, we'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Miss Schmal, and at the same time we'll tell them what her line is, but the panel's got to dig. You heard me explain the rules. Every time you can give the members in the panel a no answer, it'll cost them 5. We keep the record up here. 10 no's, you've won the game.
Good.
All right, we'll give them one more bit of help. Miss Schmal is salaried. With that, we'll begin general questioning with Miss Francis.
Do you deal in services, Miss Schmal?
Yes, I do.
And do people come to you for your services?
Yes.
And are they better off? Are they happier because of your services?
Oh, very much.
Do you change these people in any way?
You mean, would you give us a term of reference there?
Well, I mean, do they come in one way and go out another way?
Very good. Now, would you give us a term of reference, please?
Well,
I mean, is their physical appearance changed by her administrations?
I didn't mean that, no, John. I just meant that supposing I came in tired and unhappy and frustrated, and I saw Miss Schmal, and she enlivened my spirits and made me feel better, and therefore I looked better. Would that happen? I'm getting like Abe Burrows. I told you it was going to be terrible.
Well, actually, I would say this, that anybody who gets the full benefit of the service that is available when they come to see Miss Schmal would feel better, yes.
I see. Do you touch these people in any way, Miss Schmal?
Yes.
Do you deal with both sexes?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Burrows.
Now, do you, you never got an answer. Do you improve the appearance of these people? No, you did get an answer.
Yes.
I don't want to get trapped into that. Do you instruct or advise these people in any way?
Yes.
Are these people instruct and advise? What does that mean, instruct?
Teach.
Are these people over grammar school age?
Yes.
Under certain circumstances, would I be likely to come to you for advice and instruction?
It's possible.
I want everybody to know I write all my own material. Are your clients adults?
Yes.
All adults?
Yes.
Do they have something in common?
Yes.
Do you work in what would roughly be described as an institution?
Yes.
Did these people do something that causes them to be brought to this institution?
Yes.
must take cognizance, Mr. Burroughs, if you will excuse me, to the choice of verb you said, cause them to be brought to this institution. On that wording, I would have to give you a no answer. That would be 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Miss Schmall, do you require special training for your job?
Yes, of a sort, yeah.
Is your job something that also could be performed by a man?
He'd be under something of a handicap, but a man could do it, I think, in extremis, don't you? You mean you have doubts? It could be done. It could be done.
But it's more likely that someone like Miss Schmall would do it.
Yes.
Are the adults that Miss Schmall deals with chiefly ladies?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Schmall, I take it then that the people you deal with are men. Are these men who by any chance are approaching a state of fatherhood?
Yes.
Do you teach them how to take on the duties of a father, such as how to diaper children, that sort of thing?
Yes, Mr. Stone.
What do you know?
Teaches a class of expectant fathers. Congratulations,
Then I
Bernard.
must take issue with you on the brought to, because expectant fathers would have to be dragged to a thing like that.
Well, Miss Small, you did only fairly well with the prizes, but we certainly hope that you enjoyed yourself. Nice to have you with us. Good night. Good to see you. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce our mystery guest. But first, here's a mystery that solves itself right before your eyes. And now we come to the regular special feature of our program, or rather the special or a regular feature of the program. That is the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel would recognize our guest on sight, so we've provided them with blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Will you come out then, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Now will you come over here and sit down next to me? Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we dispense with all of the usual preliminaries, get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you accustomed to appearing before the public?
Yes.
Are you in what is loosely termed the entertainment business?
Yes.
Is it something other than, let's say, movie acting?
Yes.
Is it sports?
Yes.
Are you in seasonal sport?
Yes.
Is it in season now?
Yes.
Are you a baseball player?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Is what you do connected in any way with baseball?
Yes.
Are you going to play a not inconspicuous part in the forthcoming World Series between the Yanks and the Dodgers?
Yes.
Are you going to owe your allegiance, I hope, to the Yankees?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, in that case, I'm afraid this is kind of a cinch for me. You are behind the scenes. May one consider that you are behind the scenes in baseball and that while you do not play, you perhaps manage?
Yes.
If you are not loyal to the Yankees, are you loyal to the Dodgers?
Yes.
And did you write an article in the Post that said they weren't going to blow it this time?
Yes.
And are you Chuck Dressen?
Yes.
Don't take them off. Wait a minute. Actually, Mr. Dressen, this is my fault. I should have sent word to you to disguise your voice. They're getting so smart now, if you don't disguise the voice, they know you didn't come from Hollywood.
Let me say this. I'm very disappointed that Miss Kilgallen didn't know all about me, because I think before she made her trip over in Europe, she had an article in her paper, and it seemed that she knew more about managing the club than I did, because I met her father out in Pittsburgh about 2 weeks before this article appeared in her column. And I think that if I'm correct in saying that she mentioned that there was some trouble between a certain player and myself.
There wasn't?
Well, I don't remember it, but I'm a fan anyway.
The only trouble I have is with the other players.
Well, actually, we hope you don't have any trouble with the World Series. And thanks very much for coming to see us.
Wait a minute. We don't all hope that at all.
Mr. Chuck Gresson. Thank you very much. Chuck Gresson, the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And now, let's see, we have about 3 minutes left. Let's see what we can do with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, sir?
Next week, I hope you get Casey's thanks. Yes, you really eliminated that, right?
O.A. Cargill III, is that right? How are you? What is your first name? Arthur, is that the A? Is the A for Arthur? Arthur Cargill. Now, where are you from, Mr. Cargill?
Oklahoma City.
Well, time is very short, so what I'd like you to do is to walk right down in front of the panel, walk right back again. Don't stop for a second.
Oklahoma City, did you say, Mr. Cargill?
All right, Mr. Cargill, right back here and sit down next to me. And on the basis of that very quick walk and the fact that you did a masterful job of writing your name with your left hand while standing on your head, which is what it practically consisted of, we'll see what they can do with a free guess. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he runs oil wells.
Mr. Cerf.
I think he found oil in the state capitol grounds.
Miss Francis.
I think he has something to do with the Indian reservations.
Mr. Burroughs.
I don't know what he does, but if he's a lefty, Dresden can use him.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Cargill. At the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. But the panel's got to work. Mr. Cargill, you know how to play the game. Every no answer. We'll keep the record up here. $5, 10 no's, you've won the game. We'll give them one more bit of help. Mr. Cargill is salaried. It's very tough, and we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Burroughs.
Are the services connected with your work?
Yes.
Are these very widespread services? I mean, a lot of people.
No.
Not a lot of people, no.
What do you mean a lot? I meant 5, 6 people.
Yeah, you had it. 1 down, 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Does your work require a special aptitude?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Is the fact that you're young helpful to you in what work that you do?
No.
Well, we'll give you a qualified. I would say that youth and endurance is helpful. You go ahead, Mr. Cerf.
Do you have to use physical dexterity in any way in what you do?
Yes.
Is it a kind of manual work that you do?
Yes.
Do you work outdoors?
Yes.
Is it any connection whatever with the oil industry?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
If you work outdoors, does it have anything to do at all with the animal industry?
Yes.
Animal it does. You deal in some way with livestock?
Yes.
Is it a 4-legged animal?
Yes.
Is it an animal I would have in the house?
No.
Actually, time has run out, and I'm very glad because I just want to see you with a big buffalo right in your house. Mr. Cargill is a buffalo rancher, and our time has run out, so he wins the full prize by default. Thank you very much, Mr. Cargill, for being our guest on What's My Line. It's nice to see you, sir. Good night. Good to see you. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next week's program. But first, let's listen in on a little gossip. And next week at the same time, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this man. Would you know his occupation? Could you spot his line? For the answers to these and a good many other questions, be sure to tune in again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again Stoppet invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. Until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bennett, and have a nice trip to North Carolina.
Thanks, Dorothy. Good night, Arlene. Root for the Yanks, in spite of Dresden.
Good night, Abe. Nice to have had you with us.
Thank you. Good night, John. See you again.
Good night. Nice to have you with us, Abe. And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?